Just ahead on American Black Journal, a coalition of city officials calls for a federal investigation into COVID-19's impact on people of color. I'll talk with a member of the group, Detroit City Council President Pro Tem Mary Sheffield. Plus, singer-songwriter Mark Scott of The Miracles talks about his new song, inspired by the pandemic. Don't go away. American Black Journal starts now.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by Nissan Foundation and viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. The coronavirus outbreak has changed all of our lives in some way. For many, the pandemic shutdown provides an opportunity to reflect on life and our hopes for the future after the virus is contained. That's the motivation behind a new song titled, "We'll See You on the Other Side." Coming up, I'll talk with singer-songwriter Mark Scott of The Miracles about the song he wrote and produced that's inspired by the COVID-19 pandemic. Plus, I'll get his personal perspective on these unprecedented times. But first, I'll talk with Detroit City Council President Pro Tem Mary Sheffield about efforts to dig deeper into why a disproportionate number of African Americans are dying from COVID-19. We have, in this city, of course, experienced firsthand how different the experience of this pandemic has been for African Americans. I don't think anybody who lives here has been spared that really personal experience with this, and just how dramatically different it is for people in other places. There's a lot of talk about why that's true and what to do about it. You think that it's time to take an extraordinary step, inviting the Department of Justice in to try to figure out if there's wrongdoing at the bottom of this. To talk to me about that decision.
Well, I think what we're seeing in Detroit is not unique to just Detroit. We're seeing this in urban communities across the country where Black and Brown residents reside. And we're seeing a higher rate, a disproportionate rate of African Americans who are being infected and unfortunately losing their lives to COVID-19. And so we believe, and it's not just me, it's a number of elected officials that represent these cities, believe that we should have a thorough investigation from the Department of Justice come in to look to see from a local, state, and federal level how executives actually responded to this crisis. And if they did so in a way that further exacerbated some of the disparities that we currently see. And so we know, we've read in several reports that, individuals were trying to get tested and were denied in some cases. And this, again, is not just unique in Detroit. This is happening everywhere. And so we believe that there could be cases where there was civil rights violations, and we believe that the Department of Justice should come in and do a thorough investigation and look at the response in which different cities responded to COVID-19.
Yeah. In the release about this, you talk about not only things like testing, but the sharing of information.
Yes.
I think is really interesting because we had tremendous problems here in the city, I think, with people really getting info that they needed before it was too late. But the idea that was perhaps criminal, which doesn't necessarily mean intentional, right? I mean, there is such a thing as criminal negligence as well. Again, I think is another really, really dramatic step forward.
No, I agree. And my thing is, at the end of the day, this has impacted so many people, so many families, and lives were lost. And so if someone dropped the ball from the federal level and it dwindled down to the city level and local level because we were trying to access information and resources, someone needs to be held accountable. And there is no question and no doubt that the African American community has been disproportionately impacted by this virus. And we understand that the virus doesn't discriminate, but policies can, and they do discriminate. And we want to not just know this information, but to get some answers. We also know that there can be possibly a second round of this virus. And we want to make sure that this is handled appropriately and at a rate in which people are getting tested and information at the speed in which that can actually save people's lives. So this is very important to each and every one of us. We don't believe that underlying conditions are the sole cause of the reason in which African Americans have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. We believe that it plays a part in it, but could the executive branch of government, government in general have responded at a better rate to help prevent some of what we're seeing? We don't know. And we believe that the Department of Justice should look very, very thoroughly at the way in which government has responded. And then again, also look to make sure that, there's been no civil rights violations as it relates to access to testing, personal protection equipment, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah. I imagine that there are some people who will look at this and say, well, this is just casting the blame away from local officials, and that it's local officials who failed people in these cities. How do you answer that?
Well, actually, the request is a request that the Department of Justice look at the local, state, and federal executives on all levels. So we're not just pointing the finger at the executive branch. We want to look at city, state, and federal. And not to say that we're, pointing the finger at anyone here in Detroit. Again, this is a national crisis and a national problem, and we believe it should be looked at in each city to see what went wrong or what we can improve on. And so this is not just pointing the finger to the federal level. We believe that every branch of government, every level should be looked at very, very closely.
Yeah. Talk about, from the standpoint of the city council, how you feel we've done since all of this happened here in the city of Detroit. I mean, we were caught flat-footed, there's no question about that. I think most cities were. But we've seen a really different response over the last 7 or 8 weeks. Give yourselves and the administration here some assessment of how we did.
I have to be honest, when I was on the call with elected officials from around the country and I was hearing some of what they are experiencing, I was quite pleased at the response in some of the testing efforts and the PPE equipment that we're getting to our first responders and essential workers, and some of the policies that we have in place. So I am pretty pleased at what we're doing and the progress that we made. I think the issue is the initial onset of this virus, and cities everywhere scrambling, trying to provide testing and equipment is really my concern. But again, comparing Detroit to other cities, I will say that I am pleased at the city's response and our commitment to our city employees, our workers, making sure that they have, testing and equipment. But again, I think that, moving forward, there's definitely room for improvement, and we can definitely learn and make sure that we are ensuring that we are responding to this virus at the speed in which we need to save lives.
Yeah, I think the real concern from a policy level is on the future. This is something that I hesitate to even say, for fear of jinxing it, that we seem to at least have gotten a better handle on infections and deaths. I'm really worried about the fall. I'm really worried about what happens next year. And from a policy level, there are a lot of things that we probably ought to be thinking about changing to make sure we do it differently if there's another wave of this disease.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And in fact, I think about water affordability as one of them. Before this crisis took place, I was one of the council members that fought extremely hard to try to get, water cut back on for low-income residents. And then in the midst of the crisis, and it's good for residents who have been struggling, we were able to get a restoration program going. We also talk about moratoriums on foreclosures, rent assistance. All of these things are going to be needed from a sustainability standpoint, something that's going to have to be in place long-term to address some of the issues that this virus is going to bring. So I think from a policy standpoint, my concern is how do we get some of these policies in place to remain after this crisis is gone. Yeah. Like you mentioned, because water affordability is going to still be an issue, but if people can't wash their hands and we get rid of the restoration program, we'll be in the same situation again where individuals could possibly be spreading this virus. So from a policy standpoint, definitely looking at how we can sustain some of what's currently in place temporarily.
And the water question, I don't think anybody really thought it was a great idea to be shutting people's water off. Everybody said when we went back to that, this is exactly the thing you have to fear, right?
Yes. Yep.
It's a public health
right?
Where people don't have access to clean water. I do wonder, though, about the possibility of changing that in the short term so that even when the restoration program doesn't maybe continue, you don't have these back debts that people have with the water department that could also lead to them losing water.
Yeah, I think that's something that we need to look at. I know that the main issue is, we have to figure out how to pay for any type of low-income water plan in the city of Detroit. And so we have to just be creative and innovative and find ways in which we can provide clean, safe water to low-income residents in Detroit. It's something that I know all of us are committed to finding a solution on. But it's definitely a priority for me as we continue to move out of this crisis and possibly into a second wave of COVID-19.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mary Sheffield, President Pro Tem of the Detroit City Council, was great.
Thank you.
Good to see that you're doing well. And
you as well.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mark Scott of The Miracles, it's really great to have you here. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I appreciate it.
So this is a tough time for everybody.
Absolutely.
Especially a tough time for artists. But in some cases, I feel like artists are rising to a new level because of what's going on and making a really important contribution. You are one of those people. Tell me about this song that you've written.
I was having a chat with one of my agents, and I used a line. I said, I'll see you on the other side. Mm-hmm. She said, oh, her name is Jeannie Sorensen. She said, oh, that's a song title. You ought to work on that. This was about 10 days ago.
Yeah. Wow.
So I immediately stepped in on it, called the guys, see if they wanted to participate, and we put a little something together. Yeah. Have you heard it? Did you like it?
I've heard it. I actually like it quite a bit.
We'll see you on the other side. We'll see you.
Brothers and sisters all over the world, these times are tough, we can't be deterred. We've got the power, embrace the truth, just keep the faith and we can make it through. We'll fight together for humanity, we'll stay the course and we'll have a victory. And I'll see you, we'll see you on the other side. Yeah. Said I'll see you there, wanna see you there.
We'll see you on the other side.
See you again. Everyone's waiting, anticipating the time when we can come back together again. Right. That once this has passed, we can be patient. Hold steady and stay the course. Life will be waiting. We'll fight together for humanity. We'll stay the course and we'll have a victory. And I'll see you there.
We'll see you
On the other side. Said I'll see you there. Wanna see you there. Yeah. On the other side. You got the power.
We'll see you on the other
I want to give thanks to the first responders who have been there. We come together, we're all God's family.
See you on the other side.
We'll do this and we'll have a victory. See you there. See you.
We'll see you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
It made me a little teary. I think lots of things right now make me teary. So, but there's real great emotion behind the lyrics.
Yeah, I wanted it to be impactful,
Yeah.
and then I wanted it to also have a positive spirit about it that would give people a sense of hope
Yeah.
that in spite of the difficulties that we're experiencing right now, that on the other side of it, if we do what we need to do now, if we do the right things now, then we can get past this and move on, into the next phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted it to be inspiring and then uplifting at the same time.
Yeah. Here you started with a lyric and wrote around it. Talk about that process. So I'm always curious about that artistic process.
Well, I'm one of those writers who operates on inspiration. So because I have a line does not mean I have a song.
Right. Okay.
So it took some thinking. I had to put some thought into it.
Yeah.
And then I had to wait on the inspiration to be moved by the subject matter.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can take a minute, but I thought about it for several days, and you got to remember that while we're doing this, I'm working on an album too. So I'm mixing and recording other songs with totally different subject matter.
Yeah.
And so I had to jerk myself away from that, plug into this pandemic, and think about what I could say to people that would inspire them. The process for me is more God than it is me. I'm more or less just the vehicle for the concept, and I try to convey it in a way that's musical and palatable.
Yeah.
And so the process is different depending on the subject matter. Yeah. Because you can't go, baby, when after it's over with, I'll take you out on a date and we'll dance, and that's not relevant. You see, so I had to come away from that. The ooh baby.
Not a pop song.
Exactly. It's more of a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're working on an album. Tell us a little about that. The Miracles is a group that has such a rich history, not just, of course, here in Detroit, but all over the world.
Well, sure. Anything I do is an extension from my experience with the Miracles and working with Bobby Rogers for multiple years. But when I do something, I generally do it under my own identity, my own brand. But the history is the history. It is what it is, and you can't erase or forget what you've done. You can only expound and move forward. So it's a Mark Scott project.
Yeah.
But the history is, like I said, the history is what it is. most things that I do, it's hard for me to disconnect from my experience with Bobby Rogers and the Miracles, and a number of other members, Pete and so forth. So it's a part of me. It's a part of my history. But I'm me.
Yeah.
How can I say that? I'm me, and I try to do it with respect to the legacy,
Yeah.
and to carry it, not to drop the ball, but to heighten the ball, to lift the ball up and take it to another height. So that's basically what I try to do. But the Miracles, if you listen to that song, you'll hear some application.
Yeah. Right.
Motown application for
I
sure.
would say the history always finds a way through, doesn't it?
It's there. It's there. It's deeply rooted into what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about what you think the world will be like for artists after this. There are so many things that are going to be different in the world, and I worry a lot about things like concerts and other ways that we enjoy culture. How do we make sure that survives?
Well, from my point of view, this is not as bad to me as it probably could be, because I look to the brighter side of things. And whereas I may be, confined here, but I still can write, I can still create. I get to know who my family is now. I get them off the telephone and the internet, and we have to actually talk now. So, so that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I see it as far as entertaining and so forth. I see it as an opportunity to do some spiritual research, family research, cultural research within myself and within the people around me. We get away from that with the technology. We get away from that personal connection that we used to have a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good thing, and if people take advantage of it, because look, here's where I look at it, Stephen. Here's where I look at it. You're gonna look back at these times. You're gonna be so busy ripping and running and trying to meet the clock and my time. I gotta go. And you're not gonna have time to do what you're doing right now. What you have time to do right now, to actually get into yourself.
Yeah.
Get into the people around you, the people that you love, reconnect, reconnect spiritually with your family and your friends. I've lost so many friends during this time. People that I admired and looked up to, and so you can't dwell on that, because in the prayer, I know some people go, don't start preaching, but in the prayer, thy will be done. Thy will be done. Not my will, not your will, not what society wants, not what the general consensus is, but what he wants. His will be done. So I'm a strong advocate of the prayer of serenity. Are you familiar with that? I'm sure.
Right. Give me the strength to know what
Absolutely.
I can control and not
And
worry about what I can't.
That's right. And the wisdom to know the difference between the two.
Right. Yeah.
So, I'm a strong advocate of that, and I try to practice that in my life.
Tell me what you hope for this song and what it does and what it means.
Well, I tried to make it easy, like I said, palatable. I wanted to make it where it could be, people could jump on it real easy and quick, and I wanted to make sure it said something. So I think, my aspiration for it would be that people would listen to it and aspire. We talk about, the fight together. And at the end of the road, we'll have a victory. That's what I want them to get out of it. You know, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. You know, it's not as bad as you think it is, but if you constantly dwell on negative, then of course you're going to be depressed and all of that. You know, I have a lot of reasons to be depressed, but I have a lot of reasons to be thankful and optimistic.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that the song inspires optimism.
That's going to do it for us today. Check out more interviews at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by Nissan Foundation and viewers like you. Thank you.